verse 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 1 says, Then Elijah said, as the king had come to take away Elisha's head, then Elijah said, Hear the word of the Lord. Thus said the Lord, Tomorrow about this time, armies were compassed about Samaria, where they were starving, hungry. Praise Elohim. Tomorrow about this time, Elijah said, Shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria? Then the Lord, on whose hand the king leaned, answered the man of God, and said, Behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And he, Elisha, said to him, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. Elisha, seeing the things Elohim had revealed to him, the word for him to prophesy, he seen it in his consciousness as a reality, that which was actually occurred. He seen it as a solid, actual event that would happen. Praise Elohim. Let me read from verse 15 of the occurrence, verse chapter 7, verse 16. Let me start verse 16. It says, in the situation now, there were 2 leopards, and they went out to the army of Syria that compassed about Samaria to ask for food. Said, we're going to die anyway. If they kill us, we just going to die. And we're going to die anyhow. And when they got there, Elohim had caused the army to hear a sound of a noise like an army come against them. They had fled. The army has fled. And after the 2 leopards had gathered so much, they said, we need to go tell them, the people, and not just do this just for ourselves, in other words. And they went and told them to the king's house. Praise the Lord. In verse 16, let me continue reading from here. And the people went out and spoiled the tents of the Syrian, the army that was compassed about Israel that had fled. So a measure of fine flour was sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel, according to the word of the Lord. Glory be to Elohim. Prophesy according to your faith in Elohim, to expect what Elohim says shall come to pass, that it shall come to pass as you represent him and speaking for him. Verse 17, and Elisha so did. Praise Elohim, knowing that Elohim word is life and existence. Verse 17 says, and the king appointed the Lord, and the king appointed the Lord on whose hand he leaned to have charge of the gate. The man that talked, saying that God put windows in heaven, he appointed him to have charge of the gate. And the people trod upon him in the gate, and he died, as the man of God had said, whom spake when the king came down to him. And it came to pass as the man of God had spoke, and it came to pass as the man of God had spoken to the king, saying, 2 measures of barley for a shekel, and a measure of fine flour for a shekel shall be tomorrow about this time at the gate of Samaria. And that Lord answered the man of God and said, Now, behold, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, might such thing be? And he said, Behold, Elijah did, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but shalt not eat thereof. Prophesied both to the king and to the man doubting the word of Elohim. You gonna see it, man, but you ain't gonna eat thereof. And they trod upon him. Verse 20 says, and so it fell out unto him, for the people trod upon him in the gate, and he died. Faith in Elohim, praise Elohim. even for the believer. Enough faith in Elohim can make Elohim's promises, his promised hope, a solid